And welcome back to the Stan Simpson Show. Remember, you can catch us online at ctnow.com/Stan. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Chris Current.
That's right. From the
Chris Current. Chris Keating, Capitol Bureau Chief, Hartford Current, Master Reporter, one of the authors of the Capitol Watch blog. So we got to do all the social media stuff now. Facebook, Twitter, you got to do that stuff, right?
Capitol Watch blog. People are reading it.
That's right. All right. So let's talk about, continue our conversation. All right. So again, I believe at some point down the road we'll see a story where Donovan and the governor are going to be at odds because the union takes a bit of a soaking. Another story now, the governor's proposing what we call the Amazon tax, online tax, as a way to also close this budget issue. How's that playing? For a guy who came in trying to promote business, I've got to believe that the business sector is not too thrilled about a proposed tax where you tax online spending.
Yeah, the Amazon tax is very, very complicated. It's a new thing. Basically, as people do more online shopping, I don't know how much of an online shopper you are, probably not too much.
Not too much.
There's billions of dollars nationwide in transactions on this. The so-called Amazon tax would be to basically place the sales tax on internet sales, which is really not done now. It's supposed to be, there's something called a use tax. That's kind of complicated. If you buy goods out of state, you're supposed to pay a use tax in Connecticut. Most people don't do it. So in general, there's very, very few people are paying sales tax online. Amazon has been against this. The thing to know and the thing to remember is there's a big, big court case in New York. What I've been told is that Amazon is using that as a test case. They are not necessarily suing in every single state where this happens. Instead, they're marshaling their legal firepower in New York and trying to get a precedent ruling in New York. Because otherwise, they have this online Amazon tax in Vermont, Rhode Island, Arkansas, North Carolina, New York. There's places around the country that are trying to do, Connecticut is trying to do what these other states are doing.
Well, how do you have a precedent if they're already doing it in those states? How can New York be the launch point? If they're already doing it, what's there to win?
Well, New York, in other words, New York enacted this in 2008. The precedent, I mean, is that Amazon is trying to get a big court victory in New York. So that the word goes out to the other states that maybe you shouldn't be doing this.
But other states do have it now, right?
Yes.
So I'm saying to get a court victory, and I'm just sort of injecting my opinion, if you're going to court and other states are already doing it, then you could argue that that already sets precedent, that, the judge has to say, okay, all these states are doing it, you have a really compelling case not to do it because it's already being done.
Right. I assume this will go to the U.S. Supreme Court. There's got to be a ruling on this. There was a ruling on different tax rulings, and an important tax ruling in this case all the way back in 1992 in the U.S. Supreme Court. But this whole online explosion, as you know, is a relatively recent phenomenon. And the states, including Connecticut, are trying to get a piece of the pie. They're trying to get a piece of the pie. They're trying to get a piece of the sales tax. The Retail Merchants Association in Connecticut is totally in favor of this. They say it's unfair. They have the bricks and mortar store and say it's completely unfair for a guy to be buying a book at Barnes & Noble and he's paying no sales tax, and he's buying Keith Richards' biography on Amazon. He's not paying sales tax.
What makes the online folks so special that they get no tax, right?
That's what they're asking.
Versus those who say, wait a second, you can't just tax everything. We just can't tax the air you breathe, online spending. But the online world is still a moving target. But again, you've got to believe down the road that you have a disparity. If I can buy a bottle of water from you at the store and tax and buy it online, it's not taxing. You have a disparity there that has to be addressed.
There's also these online sellers, as you know, are expanding. They expand to food. In Connecticut, there's no sales tax on food. So if I buy food over online, they won't be able to tax me. So it's a fairly complicated thing. It's legalistic. There's constitutional issues, is at least what the lawyers will bring into it, the Commerce Clause. It's a very complex area without any very clear legal ruling yet.
But it's a bottom line issue too, and the governor's estimating it brings about $9.4 million a year. If they enact it, they'll bring in about $10 million a year
at the start. That's right. At the start, and that's, obviously that doesn't capture every single one. Amazon is the catchphrase for the whole thing. There's Overstock.com, and there's a lot of people selling things online, as you know.
You can expect that more and more folks will go online to spend. The same with online banking. It started slow. Now most people are doing it. There are people who are not doing online spending who you got to figure 5 years from now, we'll be going online. So
Yes.
you're starting now.
Yes, that
All right.
more products will be purchased online in the same way that other items have grown. That is absolutely correct.
All right, I want to take you out of Connecticut politics, talk about national politics for a second. I know you're a political animal. President Obama reveals his birth certificate.
Yes.
There's some pressure here, the timing. Donald Trump's been out on the stump running for president or floating a trial balloon. What were your thoughts, or what did you hear from your sources about the president deciding to go ahead and show the birth certificate, and what's the fallout now as we gear up for a election next year?
I think what happened, they just wanted to tamp down. The controversy was, if not exploding, certainly growing. Trump is a loudmouth guy,
right,
and who can command a lot of media attention. And he kept banging away on this. He was on Anderson Cooper every night, it seemed. He was constantly on television, and I think that pushed it over the top. And Obama finally, he's trying to tamp it down, throw a lot of cold water on it, probably 50 gallons of cold water on it, and try to stop it. Because Trump was getting a tremendous amount of traction on this, and a lot of the national media was not covering important issues like the deficit, the debt, Social Security reform, Medicare reform. They were covering the birther issue.
But, traction doesn't mean credibility. And
True.
I think even though it got attention and it got traction, there are a whole lot of folks who lost respect for Donald Trump for bringing this thing out again. It had been done and dealt with 4 years ago, supposedly. And so it became sort of this red herring that the president had to acquiesce to. And to what degree did he show his weakness by doing that? But what degree did Donald Trump come across as buffoonish in trying to bring it down?
I have talked to people, fairly smart people, who said that Trump did not come across good on this at all. I think the biggest thing, beyond the birth certificate, was the birth notices 55 years ago in newspapers in Hawaii that said a kid named Barack Obama was born. How could you plant that? How could you know
Right.
50 years in advance? Barack Obama had a 1 in 300 million chance of becoming president. Some people say it's even more than that, right? So how did 50 years ago you knew to put a notice in the newspaper that a 2-week-old boy named Barack Obama was born? Why would you do that?
Right, true. Now, to advance this story, here's the next story I think you'll see with Donald Trump. Folks start saying, okay, the president revealed his birth certificate. You reveal your tax statements over the last 5 years.
For
Here's a guy
Trump?
who's been, now, there's something. I think you're going to see that happening now. People start saying, all right, Trump, it's your turn now. Here's a guy who's been broke 2 or 3 times, and we know he understands creative financing. I think when the pressure now, when the script gets flipped, and say, okay, let's see your paperwork, you can see something interesting happen.
It's good to mention Trump has dabbled in the presidential arena before.
Yeah, right.
I remember personally talking to him at Max Downtown, right here in downtown Hartford, when he was floating a presidential idea. This was years ago.
And at Bridgeport Casino, he was involved in that proposed casino, right?
Absolutely. Trump he's seemingly everywhere. The guy is everywhere.
Yeah,
Whether
he loves
he's
the
selling
attention.
condos, running casinos, whatever he's doing, the guy is everywhere. And yes, he loves attention. Absolutely.
No
He'll
one
probably
sells
come
Trump.
on your show.
We'll get him on here. No one
Bring him
sells
on.
Trump like Trump.
No,
Right?
the guy's amazing. He landed his own helicopter there in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, when he made the announcement, and right after Obama had released the birth certificate. So Trump, the guy is everywhere.
Trump and Sarah Palin, 212 ticket. All right, we come back. Chris Kinney, master reporter. You are watching the Stan Simpson Show. Folks, coming up next, Scott Gray, a regular contributor from WTIC News Talk 1080. We'll talk a little sports. Don't go away.